Hello dear ones and welcome to ZTV. This is Friday Q&A. The question that I received this week was about how to steward prophetic words, but I've already answered that in podcast. It's actually one of Praying with Power and Purpose's most listened to podcasts. So you can go to Spreaker.com and then go to / Ms. Banks, MIZBANKS, and look up that podcast. But you can also go back over the blog post in ZTV here, because a couple weeks ago I uploaded a video of the podcast. So it's also called Stewarding Prophetic Words. So watching over prophetic words. But what the Lord spoke to me about was a different way of looking at prophetic words and things like that. And this is some information that we need. So I'm going to share that. And what the Lord was saying about prophetic words is a lot of times when we receive prophetic words, whether they be from Him or whether somebody else is speaking them over us, we just assume that they're automatically going to happen all at one time and that, and it's all going to happen right now. And we can look at the Bible and know from history that that's not true. There are prophetic words in the Old Testament that are happening now that were given thousands of years ago, and words in the Old and New Testament that haven't even happened yet. So you can't just assume that it's all going to happen right at the same time, and you can't assume that it's all going to happen, right away. There is always time between it. And the Lord was showing me this morning the way He pulls out the prophetic words and explains things to us. So He said to me, imagine a landscape. I'm looking at your life as a landscape, and I'm looking at it, from the beginning of time to the end of time, and I'm seeing your potential there. And I'll grab like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those things that exist in your landscape and deliver the message to you to give you hope and future, to inspire you to partner with me and take off after those things. So if you think of a landscape, and I'm going to use a desert landscape because that's what I'm most familiar with, but you have cacti and mountains and dirt and and a path and wildflowers, but that's not the entire landscape, right? That's just the few things that I can remember and that are most prominent in my mind. So those are the things that I'm sharing with you to help you identify with a desert landscape. But there are also like paving stones that mark out that path. There are also like berries and things that can be eaten. There are also insects, geckos, snakes, all kinds of things that are included in the desert landscape. The sky is included in the desert landscape. But I didn't share all of that with you, but you still were able to get a picture of a desert landscape. Well, that's what prophetic words are. He's, pulling out a few things in the landscape and saying, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what exists. This is what's possible, for your future and in the spiritual realm. And then the thing is that you kind of just have to partnership with Him and believe and make sure that you are watching over all those things, looking for those things and expecting them to come to pass, and then everything else will get filled in right away. We never know the exact time unless He says, within a certain amount of time, which sometimes He does, but a lot of times He doesn't. A lot of times there's no timeline listed. It's just the 3, 4, 5 things that are pulled out of the landscape that He shares with us, and we get to, grab hold of those things and march forward in partnership and in covenant with Him. So I hope that gives you a little bit of information about prophetic words. That reminds me, a couple weeks ago, I prophesied over somebody, and they were like, oh, thank you for wishing that over me. And I'm like, no, I don't deal in wishes around here. It'll be done to you according to your faith. So we don't have to wish, because the things that He gives us in utterances to speak over people, those are things that He's saying, yes, I'm willing to give this, do this, perform this for that person. I'm, giving you the message to deliver it for them so that they can walk in hope from this point on and look for those things to happen. Okay, so visit me again. I'll be here on Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific. And send in your questions. There are lots of different ways you can send them. You can tweet me at Ms. Banks, MIZBANKS, Facebook page, email, whatever, and then I'll answer those questions. And thank you so much for sending them in. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.